introduce yourself, give a CNN version of your background, your story, your history. And we're here to talk today about how to be a mega solo agent. Yeah, we totally burned the mic up on this. On the last, I think we just left it on. So, can everybody hear okay? Yeah. All right, we'll have to use our outside voices. Our outside voices. Actually. This also seems like it's working. We'll either use our outdoor voices or we'll pass this back and forth. Outdoor voices work? Okay, perfect. If you need it, it's here. Turn the green button on, we'll go from there.
Ladies first. Ladies first.
Oh my God.
How to be a mega solo agent.
Hi, Lord St. John. Some of you may heard the rendition. I'm going to do it again. I am an agent in Southeast Florida, Fort Lauderdale area. I started my life as an accountant, wanting to do so when I was 14, go figure. I love being a CPA. It brought a great deal of skills until I became very bored with that and then became an attorney right here in Jersey. I love Jersey. It's like my hometown of 21 years. I became very interested in the Innocence Project. So I studied law, started the Innocence Project when I was in my 40s at the Rutgers School of Law. And I'm very proud to say that it started a trend in the United States. You think that I would be okay with that, but then I really wanted more. So I took the New York bar and then the Colorado bar. And when I moved out to Colorado in anticipation of the move, I practiced law with another lawyer, CPA. I did a real estate development of 44 acres. So I got real estate development experience. And then I saw that it was really dry in Colorado. Sorry, Jackie. But I kept visiting my daughter in Miami and I looked at all the women. I'm like, oh my God, they're gorgeous. I want to look like that. I'm moving to Miami. So I moved to Miami. I wanted to do some work and I'm like, there's no way on earth I'm taking another bar. I'm not that crazy. So I became the city auditor for the city of Coral Gables and I did that for 8 years. I then decided that I wanted something different. Health Challenge came around. I'm a cancer survivor. And at my young age, I decided that I was then going to do real estate. I'm in real estate now since 2017. Focused solely on being a solo agent. I've had MAP coach for a while, but I've decided that this is where I want to be and it's the best decision I've made. My claim to fame that most of you don't know, and it's a little secret, is that in championing an innocent person's case, I met privately with Pope John Paul. I was received in the Italian Parliament and the President's office with the Vice President, given a tour all around Italy. I had a phone call from Mother Teresa while she was on her deathbed, calling me personally, inviting me to Calcutta to stay with her. And that's like something that most people don't know. It's a little secret.
Hey, this sort of Dos Equis commercial. You are the most interesting person. Just saying. I'm just saying. All right.
State has brought together all of my abilities to do what I love. And I love real estate and I love being a solo agent. Hopefully you'll find out why.
Who wants to follow that up?
Mother Teresa.
When we touch you, we touch Mother Teresa vicariously, right?
I didn't get to touch her because I chose to see the Pope instead. Way.
Jackie, you want to start yourself?
Okay, hi everybody, I'm Jackie Stratton from Denver, Colorado. I'm the daughter of a realtor and I swore I'd never be a realtor because of my mom. She did not have work-life balance. She was the #1 agent in Missouri in the 80s and 90s when I was a kid. So I kind of put that on the back burner. I was in the restaurant industry. I went to the School of Hard Knocks and ended up getting married and having kids pretty young in my early 20s. And so when my kids were in middle school, I was a part-time waitress. We had just recently moved to Colorado from Chicago area and I'm originally from St. Louis. But I waited on some people from Keller Williams at the time and they liked me so much they ended up having their office Christmas party at the place I worked. And I got to talking with somebody and I said, oh, I've kind of toyed with the idea of getting my license because my mom's a realtor. And he said, well, why didn't you? And I said, well, because she was a great realtor, but not a great mom. She wasn't present to my stuff. And I don't want to ever be that. And he said, well, your mom chose to work that much. And I said, I've never really thought of it that way. So my kids were in middle school. It seemed like a good time to figure something out because I was kind of sick of waiting tables after 20 years. And I got my license and I said I was just going to do it part-time. And my mom did say, you can't just sell real estate part-time. She was right about that. But I started noticing in 2015, 2016 that I started seeing my name up with some of the top agents in the office. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm selling as much business as they are. And I liked that. And it motivated me and I got excited about it. And so
What would you say is the biggest benefit to being a solo agent for you?
I like being a solo agent because I'm very relational with my clients and I feel like I'm not going to pass them off to somebody else who will let me down because I've worked since I was 14 years old and I have a really high level of work ethic. So I feel like I'm always accountable for that. So I like that. I do have a transaction coordinator and I did convince my husband last year to get his license and quit his job and work with me full time, but he doesn't like, we're not a team. He's kind of a licensed administrator and he manages the house and our life beyond that. But I kind of like being my own thing mostly. Pretty competitive. The last 3 years I've been the #1 solo agent at the biggest Keller Williams office in the state of Colorado. And so sometimes, yeah. So sometimes the thought of being on a team is a little overwhelming to me because it's a lot of stuff would be out of my control at that point, but never say never. I could be open to it. And if my husband likes working with me enough, we could maybe eventually start a team, but.
Nobody in this room is a control freak, by the way.
No, I don't.
None of us. None of us.
Yeah, so I would say, I guess I might have oppositional defiant disorder. I don't like people telling me what to do, which was a big motivator for me to get out of the restaurant industry because, and by the way, I love, if you ever have great service with a great bartender or server, nobody is a better person to try and get into real estate because we know how to multitask and how to get things done. And customer service is huge for if you work in fine dining especially, but.
So you tell us about yourself and why a solo mega agent?
Me?
Mhm.
Hey everyone, Kristen Zigouras, also known as Ziggy. I think I've met everybody in the room. I'm from New York. Previously did nursing, construction, built houses, you know, blah blah blah. Found my way into real estate because I had hired an agent that didn't necessarily do her job well, and it was something that I always wanted to do. I've had the opportunity to join teams and you know, the biggest benefit for me as a solo agent is the profit margin. Realistically, I can keep more money in my pocket. Yeah, you know, making the relationships and don't make no mistake, I have a team, but they're not agents. Right. I have a team of
That's a great
attorneys.
point.
I have a team of attorneys, I have my coach, I have, you know, title companies, I have a transaction coordinator. I suggest that is everybody's first hire. And it doesn't even have to be a hire. If you can find somebody that you can pay per transaction, that's the best route because then you don't pay them until they close. If the deal doesn't close, you often don't pay them. But they help leverage your time better so that I can focus on the dollar productive activities, you know, making the calls, setting the appointments, going on the listing appointments, and they can take care of the back end minutia that stops me from prospecting.
So you both have support staffs. So you have people. There's always a team around you at some point.
Yeah, that's true.
Bryan.
I'm Bryan Garrity and I'm in San Diego. I started out at first, I'm a very loving, very abundant family. So like growing up, it was you're being, we love you. My mom is first generation Italian, my dad first generation Irish. And so I'm like second generation. And I hear people's stories of how hard their childhood was. And so I know I'm very blessed that way. But when I went to college, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I had no idea. And first thing I did is I was an adjuster for state partnership. And I was like I was like 21, going to 22. Only person that had that kind of a job. They were like 60, which they're getting closer now.
Gotta be careful what you call this.
But they would always be gone. I didn't get company cars. Well, then I met an attorney. And he was like, "Why are you wasting your life?" I was like, "We're talking about." He's like, You're the most brilliant dude I've ever sat with. I'm like, really? My problem in my life has always been, and if you went to build power, it was a Gallus book. It was really powerful, but not, I forget what her name, you know. The Gallus is L'Oreal thing.
Oh, Jamie Kern Lima.
Jamie Kern, look her up, read a story, the story of my life. Every time you have a success, wild success, self-doubt, we get in the way of self-sabotage. I just screwed my life up so many times that way. Anyway, long story boring. Then I went into legal arena and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to law school, forget it. Then I went to law school. There is when I say never, never, I get screwed. So then I went to law school, worked with a really shady firm. I didn't get they were shady. And saw some stuff that I shouldn't have seen. And when they got me acting, I'm like, whoa, this is not for me. I'm out of here. I was getting a video and then I stopped there with gun. So I changed that. But my crisis, what happened is, and I husband now for 21 years. I had been like not feeling well, but I would always keep going. I said it's fine. But I had some weird pain in my back. I realized it's not like I pulled a muscle. I kept going to the doctor. Not like I pulled a muscle. I had adrenal cancer. And they put me in the hospital at 35. I was like, this is a bunch of beep. And the nurses were like, look, you're not gonna make it. You need to have your affairs in order. And I was like, my affairs in order. Like my dad had just passed, my mom was so lost. I was like, no, I've gotta be made that hurdle. Who knew what was to come? But when I was in the hospital, people would come and be like, you know, you need really good for mortgage and real estate.
That's the message they give you in the hospital.
First of all, I went to a doctor boring. Then, when I went into mortgage, they also didn't have more control of my time. For real estate, I was like, you liars! Like, what are you talking about? But like, I kind of thrived on it because like you could make an impact on people for real. And there were so many people that were so bad in the industry. And trust, when I didn't work in real estate, I hated real estate agents. Well, hate's a strong word. I thought they were all stupid. I thought they were shady. I mean, I would just sorry. Then the market.
It's like if they can do it.
Oh my God. And I still, some days, there's days. Then the market imploded, did short sales, help people out. And you know what? I should have well, for me, it doesn't mean I have to stay there forever. But I gave me every person would have a different perspective. I give you a good story, like I do everything, you know, everything. And my ego is so in the way, I didn't even know that I had one of that. I had like 40 or 50 listeners at the time. People would call the office, they're like, we don't keep on here. And like, these people are thinking about living in houses, hilarious. Well, the funny part is, guess what? All those sellers that were short selling couldn't buy for 47 years. Oopsie, Bryan, Garrity haven't had a good buyer. That was a curve. But then I found a tribe, people that I love. It just made me more exuberant. It even lifted me up. I'm like, wait, these people are real estate agents and they really love like this. I know it's not like a true, but it's so true. That's what really gravitated me to be in there. And I'm so, you call people in San Diego, take a poll, ask them, like, I don't blow people out. Well, I will if I have to, I make it right by the end. Unless they're so dumb that they just should have the license. Outside of that, I was like, no one is ever going to take my name. Because you could call somebody, like, I tried to do a team twice.
It's not for everyone, and that's
I
not
tried,
the case, yeah.
but
It's not for
I
everyone.
have a Herculean transaction. I have a Herculean escrow. So like, there's no gas line. Once in a blue, they'll be like, hey, we have this problem. What do you think? Okay, do this. So solo, yes. With my health conditions that I have now, I have people on my advice saying, if you don't build a team, what's going to happen during less than 10 years? I'm like, we'll figure it out. Don't worry about that in there. That really onset Parkinson's, and that's just one of many things that are going on. But I guess that's the case, but I don't want someone to screw up my name. I tried.
Yeah.
Because if you called an agent and said, we're doing no more showings, just taking no more offers. But if I called, it'd be like, if you're gonna send an offer over, like, our client's gonna take it. So you want to build a reputation in town.
Good point. So Lori, everyone else has mentioned that they have a team around them or they have some other people. What about yourself?
So I have a showing assistant in one county, another one in another county. I have a transaction coordinator. I had a VA until she mysteriously disappeared. I'm getting another one. It was one of those things that she didn't show up, and then 3 weeks later, I'm with cyberbacker waiting for another one. But as soon as I get another VA, that's great. I do pay a fee to my referral, not my referral partners, but my assistants, so that if I don't want to handle something and I give them more responsibility, they have an incentive to be there. And I think so I give them 10% of that. My high end or my multi-million-dollar homes, I don't do that with. But I have a team, including a title company that has a lawyer in it. That's a good friend of mine. I have an attorney. I have a team of very highly skilled.
Every one of you have a team in some way.
Yeah, so I have a team.
So what advice would you give to everyone on how do you be a successful solo agent and keep control of your time at the same way?
That's a good, control of time is a good one. You definitely have to time block your schedule. I'm not very good at time blocking, but I will say how to be successful. You have to truly care about your clients. And when you're caring about your clients, you have to be very meticulous and very intentional about everything that you're doing. I strategize everything I do when I work with people. I think if you're going to brand yourself and you brand yourself as a top agent that will deliver an exceptional experience, and then you deliver on that, like Jackie and Bryan, and I'm sure Ziggy as well. If you become very good at what you do, you don't want to give that away. So you capitalize on that. Let people know that you will have an exceptional experience. Build a team around yourself. Don't wait for the TC. You pay them by the transaction. You bring them in on right away. Leverage yourself out so that you can do what you do best. Whatever that might be, negotiations, strategy, that's what I love. It might be different for you as well, but just make sure that you leverage yourself and make sure you have your systems in place so that you don't keep getting drawn back in the 80% that you don't like to do, and you keep building up that 20%, which is for me relational. I mean, all my relationships are significant, whether it's an advisor, an attorney, my clients, number one. I'd say that would be my best.
Great points, great points. You mentioned like service, and our goal, one of them is to make the gentleman Will Cordaro like a household name. I can't recommend it enough. Get the book on reasonable hospitality. If you have not yet read it, it's incredibly valuable. It's about a New York City restaurateur.
It's really good.
Yeah.
He's also a good speaker.
He's an amazing speaker.
Definitely. It is.
So Jackie, what advice would you have, suggestions of how do you become a successful solo agent and in some ways control your time?
Well, I actually use an old school calendar, believe it or not. I don't use my phone, so I can see the whole week at a glance. And time blocking is very important. Sometimes I feel like I'm playing Tetris a little bit, but I am a full-time agent. I just became an empty nester, so I have one kid in college and my oldest is 21. And my husband getting his license is super helpful because I do travel a lot for conferences. So now he can be there as a licensed, agent or whatever, licensed person in Colorado to go for showings and help me if I have to while I'm gone.
So use a paper calendar.
Use a paper calendar. That works for me.
I do too.
Yeah.
Part of the full-time club now. Restaurant yesterday looked at me like I literally had a third eye when I'm
I
writing
like that.
and my day planner like,
That's awesome.
what is this?
Me, and then, look, like last year was my busiest year. I closed a lot of deals, a little over 55 million in closed volume. And I was crazy. I had almost 100 closed deals last year. And I had these one set of buyers who were a pain in the ass, and I fired them. I said, listen, I don't think I'm the agent for you. And I referred them to another agent. I said, I think this person will work better for you. And that's the only time I've ever done that. But if I am in a situation where I feel like this isn't working, I'll pass it off to the right person. But I always try to be resourceful with my time. And, if you're using that paper calendar and you're making sure that you are a full-time agent and putting the hours of time in, you'll find a way to get there for whatever you need to do. Because you want to get the deal done, and you love your clients and you want them to get their house and all those things. So I always never really have a huge problem with time. But maybe because I was a waitress, I'm used to shuffling a lot of things.
I never understood why people don't fire their clients more often.
Oh, yeah.
That's the whole reason we set goals, is to know our boundaries and what we're able to say yes and no to. And coming from also the service industry, it was just like, hey, You got table 5.
Yeah,
You got table 5 where they can sit there by themselves.
that was hard for me to do, but I had a
Oh.
conversation. I'm like, I'm sorry, you have unrealistic, goals here, and I don't think I'm the right agent for you. And that's the only time I've ever done that. But if I am in a situation like that and I don't feel like that's gonna work out for me, I've done it once, I'll do it again if need be, but,
Yeah,
But
know
yeah.
your boundaries. It's so huge. It's so huge. Think, what about yourself?
Yeah, so.
Suggestions.
Yeah, 3 things come to mind, actually 3 books, Who Not How, Eat the Frog, and 12-Week Year. If you haven't, listened, read, definitely, daily schedule, prioritize your time. Eat the Frog is about, doing the least desirable thing first thing in the morning, right? So work out, get yourself together, and prospect. Because if you don't prospect first thing, at least for myself, time won't only get away from me. I'll be exhausted when the time comes to have conversation. So, and protecting that time, depending on who you talk to or what you've read or who you follow, golden hours, right? So I just read, what am I reading? 4th book, Fanatical Prospecting. Your golden hours, those are your dollar productive prospecting hours. If you don't do it in 30, 60, 90 days, you will have no money coming in. Trust me, I've been there. So protecting your time, making sure you're doing that dollar productive work, that proactive lead generation, having the conversations, and who not how. I'm not great at everything. Recognizing what I don't like doing or what I'm not good at, and finding the person who is. So Who Not How is a great book. And 12-Week Year, taking the year's goal and condensing it into a 12-week period of time is mind-blowing what you can get done. We work at such a small percentage of our actual capabilities, and it's just mind-blowing how much we can get done. When I set an annual goal, I forgot, I have ADHD, right? So I set an annual goal today and I've forgotten by tomorrow what it is. But what was that goal and where did I put it? Which is why I do use the paper
all
calendar.
realtors study.
I think they do.
Yes.
And they're all a little bit crazy. So part of my team
We're
is also,
different. We're special.
part of my
You're
team
unique.
is also a therapist. We might talk about that. But having a paper calendar, out of sight, out of mind. I have everything in a digital format. Make no mistake. I have a spreadsheet that calculates all my commissions, keeps track of all of my things. I have a CRM that keeps track of all of my people in my database, but I use a paper calendar, and I also use a daily checklist because it's there front and center. I don't have to look for it. I don't have to charge it. It didn't crash on me, and I always have some connectivity. So that personal responsibility and accountability, having it front and center.
Learning to say no to wasteful things was,
Absolutely.
I get better at that each year I'm in this. But that was hard for me, and I'm getting a little bit better with those lenders who call me, let's have a cup of coffee. Well, I said, no, please don't call me and ask me to have coffee. That's tired. And by the way, I
You can
charge
bring it by
$5 an
anytime,
hour.
though.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you said to your client.
So,
that
it'd
could
be
be-
nice, but tune all those people out. You don't have to say yes to all these people that are barking up your tree.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think for me, what's happened, so when I first started, I would work from 6 in the morning. I run an own business. We have a DC. Everything, start to finish. And that's when I was like, my God, I was going nuts. So then my first thing I did, I released it. I was like, oh, okay, I am working those of it. Because really at the end of the day, and I wish anybody got this from day one, my strengths are. People will gravitate to me. When they gravitate to me, I know what I'm doing. The referral chase I like, but what I've learned now is like, all right, boy, once I've converted, I'm like, got it. My assistant now, Mr. Killian, will be like, the minute you converted, you're over it, and that's a certain dollar amount. You're like, good point. I never thought about that. You're so Herculean, I'll interface with the client, agents I'll interface with. Boom. I'm only doing now the things that I enjoy doing because I'm not leaving this planet or any in some kind of incapacitated way, which I'm fighting. But I would be really mad at myself if I didn't start to leverage off of things. Based on what Jack just said, I would be afraid to fire a client. Now I'm just like,
That's a good feeling.
and so I have a 25-year-old kid in Florida. He called me at 6 in the morning, California, or 3 in the morning, my time. I called him back at 8 in the morning our time and said, I'm going to medical school. At Belleville Medical is in San Diego. You will call me every day at 3 in the morning.
Will.
You did. Oh, it's hilarious. You got my assistant motherfucker on it. I was like, Doogie, how's it? I couldn't hold, maybe that wasn't kind, but I just said, I'm like, Doogie, listen, I'm the wrong agent for you. I'm gonna pull my ass out of bed at 3 in the morning to call you to say what houses you're saying. We have videos for it, never. There's another agent's number. I wish you nothing but the best, but you have to be able to say, no. I never believed it. I thought it was some bumper sticker KW saying other things because you know the other opportunity. No,
It's true.
say no to the other things, because guess what? Big opportunities show up. So my passion is, and I've been speaking it loud now, I like to travel, I like to be on panels, I like to help other agents, because if anyone knows me, they might say he's outrageous. Yeah, outrageously honest. I will say the shit that no other agent, they'll button it up and be like, well, when I was practicing for 20 years, BS, I've known you for 20 and you were not like that at all. That's when I started to get pissed in town when I hear people talking. So then I'd be like, I want to be on those panels too. You should have seen the first couple of panels I was on. Now I get invited all the time because they'll be like, that guy, we love him and he'll tell the truth. I will. And I'll tell you where my failures have been. I've had plenty. My God, anyone who acts like they haven't had highs and lows, you're lying. Anyone who acts like, oh, I've always been wildly successful. No way. In my Rich Jack Gal's book, she totally resonated with me. Like wild success, self-sabotage, blow it up. But I was never, I always thought, you know this, there was one incident that happened. And you called me and I was like, he's a bitch. I called out to them. This guy is on my app. Did you know who I am? And Ashley was like, do you know who he is? I was like, yeah. He was highly inappropriate. He was completely right.
Yeah, I hope anyone remember that.
For you, because like you called me out of my video. And your friends that you're the closest to, I normally don't like that. It was like 170 degrees. I was, it was different. But you know what? Be open when somebody says like, hey, blah. Because I'm so open, you can say like, calm it down a little bit. Okay, this one at the end of this favorite chapter, if I'm acting, I should be like, you're acting a little manic. I'm not manic. I do have early onset Parkinson's, but that's can cause to have a little bit for another personality. What I've learned though is, if I'm in a situation, I'm so passionate. I love people so hard. That this weirdness that people, you can't have more than one friend in the city. That's absolutely ridiculous. And I know people in here get that when I'm talking about it. There's people I love in here. But what I can't be your friend. I respect you and I would refer you because someone put your name on a page that hell I never knew about. Anyone who knows what that is, don't lose your integrity. Because if you don't think everyone's okay, surprise, there's plenty of legit high level, high caliber people that are watching that don't participate. So if you want to assassinate yourself, your reputation is everything in real estate. That will make you successful. So,
You know, I wanted to add one thing that is extremely important, and I encourage you to all do this. Do stay in your lane and compete with yourself. Don't look. I've never once looked at anyone's GCI, how much you sell, how much you make. I don't care. What I care about is that person an exceptional realtor, and can I learn from them? And first and foremost is, do they have integrity? If you add all of those things together, the way I have chose to rise in my profession is by looking at the best in the industry and learning from everyone and not competing with them, but competing with yourself. So set your goals, double this, double that. You know, I'm going to hire this person. I'm going to do that. And then you'll make yourself whatever you want. You'll be wherever you want to be if you don't get distracted by all the noise. Just learn from the best. That's where you interact.
So we have telekinesis because the question she just answered was the next one I was gonna ask.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's what I was like, that one right there. And the question I was gonna ask you is like, you know, in a changing market or changing economy, how do you set your mind on the road ahead? And I think you really just answered it brilliantly.
And I'll tell you, from day one, I was very intentional. I was focused, and I want to do this, I want to do that. And then I would see someone, I'd be, oh my God, they're great. I want to learn that. Or I'm going to learn this from here. Or I'm going to take that information from that. And then I would use that to build and build and build in my own little world, but gravitating elsewhere to get the best knowledge possible, so I can be as good as I can get. I'm nowhere near that. I have a long way to go, but I'll tell you, I'm learning from the best, and I love to grow that way, and that's the best way. Ignore the noise. Ignore all the people that complain, or the people that are, comparing you or this one or whatever. It's noise. Who cares? The people that love and support you, stay with your tribe that supports you. We're all good agents. We're all amazing people, but don't get trapped in that craziness that can be out there. Just do your thing and bring in support and loving people, like great people that will support you. That's I can offer.
When someone who's done what you've done has the experience in multiple bars that you passed in law school and met the Pope, still says, I have so far to go. I mean, it just means we just never stop striving.
You never
Yeah.
stop.
So same question. It's like, how do you set your mind for knowing the discomfort and changing economy in the marketplace? How do you set your mind for the road ahead in 2023?
Well, it's interesting because 2023 is likely, or could be, the first year that I do, like you said, competing with yourself, could be my year that's less sales than the year previous to it. So I'm trying to think outside the box and do things I haven't done. So I'm thinking about calling FISBOs and expires, and I did some of that in January, but now I'm back to being pretty busy again. But I was like, this could be the first year that I'm really having to do things that I haven't done before if I don't get that referral abundant business that I have and past client referrals and all those things. So just looking into doing the things that I haven't done before, that I'm uncomfortable with, to try other ways of getting sellers and buyers to work with.
May I offer a suggestion?
Yes.
Change the way you keep score. Because a lot of us that have had that trajectory of success, you need to look at the scorecard a little differently.
Yeah.
If 1,000 people bought a home and you sold 100 of them, great, you got 10% market share. Okay, but if 500 people buy or sell a home and you still sell 100, if you look at yourself and say, I suck, I didn't do near as good as I did last year, you just grew your market by 4 times, by 5x,
Well,
and you're winning in a whole new game.
And I agree with that, because that was my thought in January, because January was my worst January of my career, but then February, March have been great, but I'm down like 40% from this time last year.
Yeah, you gotta find new ways to win.
Everything to Jack.
All the agents are down.
Jack,
It's not just me, so it's just a little bit different.
Jack, so Jackie and I are super close. She said, my business is down blah. And I said, your business is not down at all. You're still winning. You're still ahead of the other people that are in the market. Stop doing that. She's a wickedly great practitioner. Am I saying that because I love her to death and think of her as sister? Yeah, but I also know how I've referred her. She referred to me. She's highly skilled. What Drew said, like, you're going to do the market share. Now is your time. If you really want market share, have the right mindset, get out there. I hear people say like double down, triple down. Well, if you're going to double down or triple down, make sure you double down or triple down on activities or whatever you want to call activities that you really enjoy, and watch that market share expand. Because when it goes back, you'll be like, when
Your database will go to a whole new
it's
level.
next level. It really is.
I still know I am close with Bryan. That's why I said something about him being manic. So I would never say that.
Well, my point, I didn't understand as either, but Drew got the first, you were the first person that was it.
But here's what I'll say, have you ever met anyone more of a badass than Bryan in San Diego? He's got all these things going on and he's still here. He shows up. I've never met anyone who works harder than Bryan. That's why I referred my sister to him in San Diego, because I'm like, she's looking for an agent, and you want to really know who you're working with for referrals and all those things with other agents, especially. So you definitely need to have good relationships. And Bryan and myself, and I think everyone on this panel has, we're connectors. Like I get phone calls from my OP at the office. Who do you know in Memphis, Tennessee? I'm like, oh, I've got 3 people. Let me tell you, so it's good to be a connector and work with good people in all realms, whether that's your referral partners, whether it's your vendors, and the people you're giving a high level of business to. My lender, I have like really hooked that guy up, and I love him and he's great. And that's why I work with him. But I expect the people I give a ton of business to kind of give me some business too. Like, so if your lender's not hooking you up sometimes, or if your inspectors you give all this business to never give you any business, then maybe you should find somebody else, So that's another good thing to keep your eyes on. Surround yourself by the best people in all things you do.
Yes.
Think about yourself. How do you approach the rest of 2023?
Yeah, absolutely. Ditto to everything that's been said already, find what's working for you, double down on it, for sure, 100%. If you don't like it, delegate it. Find what's working and double down on it. And if you find out what your blind spot is, because we've moved into, everything's already been said. We're moving into a shifting market, a skills-based market. 80% of the agents don't have those skills. Huge opportunity for market share, right? So if you're not skilled, attend to training. Look at you guys. Always improve your skills, right? And it's a great opportunity. Take advantage of this opportunity to be proactive, right? What does proactive mean? Be in charge of the activities that you're taking, right? That you're doing. Social media, I'm hardly on social media. I don't use social media. We'll have to talk. I'm there, make no mistake, but I'm not, yeah. So is it a great supplemental? Yes. Do I rely upon it for business? No, because it's passive. It may come, but it's not predictable. What's predictable is me picking up a phone, sending a text, proactively reaching out to people and initiating that conversation and asking the questions. That's predictable. I know the numbers, how they convert and how much I need to do. Everything else is fluff. If I want to do social media, TikTok or whatever. But yeah, I mean, all of those things. And keep your mind on straight, because not only is it a skill shifting into a skills-based market, the agents are leaving the industry. So there's huge opportunity there, right? Not only are some of the listings starting to expire because the agents hadn't prepared their sellers, great opportunity for expireds. They're leaving the industry. So, if you know somebody that's leaving the industry, reach out to them and ask them if you can partner with them. Listen, I know you're leaving the industry, you spent a lot of money to come into the industry. I'm sure you have past clients, your sphere. I'd love to work with you on maximizing your sphere, right? And then send them referrals for any contacts that you make.
That's
I
what, sorry. I didn't
No,
mean
go
to-
ahead.
That's one of the best parts about real estate is that we all can find what works for us. If she doesn't go on social media much, I get a ton of business from social media. And I once met a guy from one of my offices who was the biggest nerd I've ever met in my life. And I'm like, how is a socially awkward guy getting so much business? And he grew a huge team. Like, everybody has what works for them and they have their sphere of people they can connect with. So when you find out what is that thing that I'm getting most of my business from, you just keep like the one thing, you just keep focusing on that. And if it works for you, keep killing it. But then also it's good to have a couple other areas you're willing to look at.
And there's no right way to do this.
That's right.
No, right.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't say, we keep calling it a shifting market. It's a shifting time for sure. But if you look at the data, it actually doesn't look like a traditional or any kind of normal shift. Everyone's a little different. In this case, it just looks like simply the amount of real estate that we sell is going to be less. It's still basically a seller's market in pretty much everywhere in the country, and there's very little sign that it's changing. So the truth is you have to adapt your skill set. You've got to shift in how you drive business and the skills and the knowledge and information that you're going to share with people that you take care of.
Honestly. So if you have not been to a Build House convention, go. I went last week, it's changed my life. I'm not kidding.
Buildhouse.com, next one's going to be in Phoenix.
It's not, but it's not all about real estate.
It's called Build How. Buildhow.com. Like built.
It's not a place for creative event. I'm not kidding when I tell you, it'll change your life, but you are buying something outside of what you're used to going to.
Yep.
So that you broaden your reach now, especially. Don't you have your company. If you're super comfortable right now, you're gonna have a problem. Because if you think that this year's gonna be hard, next year's gonna be harder. And I think that the Goldman Sachs people are right. 56%, they're anticipating a recession this year. 74% or whatever are anticipated next year. So this is the beginning of the uncomfortable. I don't want to feel any more uncomfortable than I do now. So reach out, sharpen your skill set. And as a solo for me, I'm like, I don't want to add on any other licensed agent. I have my assistant's license. But like, she doesn't sell. I don't want admin. I don't want a DA. But make sure every person you bring on carries your vibe or what your philosophy is, because it just takes one person
Right.
to go out in the community and ruin. I honestly, seriously would fall apart if that happened.
Oh my-
That's how much I care. If you don't care at that level, like, maybe somebody should be doing something else. We're not flipping hamburgers. We're not selling cell phones. And no disrespecting any of those people, but the barrier to entry to real estate is so low. Keep educating yourself.
You gotta go to law school.
Well, think about that. I would say, but like.
That's
is it very-
impressive that 2 attorneys.
I know, 2 attorneys. And they end up being real estate agents. Hey, they raised the bar. And thank you. Thank you.
Real estate in South Florida.
There you go.
Love that.
I do.
I love that.
Love it. Can I just add one thing?
Please.
You know, if you feel like you need to build a team or pressured to build or join a team, what I've done is, you know, I'm used to working about an hour and a half away from my home, right? As I've grown my business and increased my database, I've shrunk my territory, the area that I'm personally willing to cover, right? I might still take a listing that's 3 hours away, depending on what it is. But what I've done is I've compiled referral agents, right? So they're not my team members. I didn't hire them. I don't pay them. I don't generate leads for them. But what I do is we've, you know, formed partnerships so that if I have something in that area, buyer specifically, that I'm not, you know, willing or interested in servicing, I'll refer it out to them. It frees up my time, so I'm not driving an hour and a half, and it gives them business. And I still get a little piece of the pie. I was having a conversation the other day with somebody, and I was like, you know what, like a quarter of the sandwich is better than none, right?
Yeah.
Whatever the referral fee is better than none. I'm still involved. I still make some money on it. At that point, it's slightly passive because I'm not having to worry about the deal. So definitely, you know, find the agents that you, and be nice to the agents that you work with. We're family.
Locally and
All
otherwise.
of our last names are realtor, right?
You don't be the agent that tries to cover the whole state, because you look like a fool doing that.
For the
So
whole
you
country.
just- Everybody thinks that I cover Breckenridge or Colorado Springs or Fort Collins, and I'm just like, those are not my areas, but I can tell you exactly who is, and yeah, exactly the same thing.
Like very
Yeah.
nuanced and things like that. Like I have a gal, Roslyn Director, don't know what she's connected. She could cover me, I could cover her. And I did. And then once we became friends, I was like, no way, I don't want to go up there. And she's wonderful with the client. They love her. If it's a San Diego Metro one, she calls me and she's like, hey, it's too far for me. So those kind of partnerships, agents that have that scarcity mindset. It's like, I promise, if you do that with more people, you'll be so much happier and your income will probably be bigger.
The most dollar productive activity you actually have.
We generate.
It really is. If you do the math, if you refer a piece of business out, that is the most dollar productive thing you can do, hour per hour, minute by minute. It's like I spent 5 minutes to generate X amount of dollars. There's no price for that. And every one of them have a business that, while it seems, hey, we're solo agents. I've found over the years, like one of the most weird, awkward dialogues is to build a team or not build a team.
Yeah.
Just a solo or should build a team. The whole concept is, and every one of them have done this, is you build a business so big it needs other people to be involved. You get really clear what you do and what you like and what you do well, and you get so big that you actually need other people to support and take parts of the job that you don't want. So they have teams, but they have a business, more importantly, that there is so big, it needs other people. But really, really well done.
I love it.
Well done. Any questions? Anyone, any burning questions anybody want to ask?
I
Please.
wanted to ask everyone on the panel if you have any particular tools, CRMs that you think are really good for solo agents that you work.
I think from a CRM perspective, honestly, it's as good as it is. But I don't know something about it. The Garrity CRM for me is robust and it would allow you to do it as a solo Firefox, Brian's death. And the guy from Brady, I'm like, never, not doing it, I don't need that, I don't dig it, and we did that thing, it was awesome, and it's like a full power machine for you. People might be like, oh, I want to pay that, okay, well, if you use it right, like if it's still good for, I love it. Yeah, but that was the reason I said it is the truth.
My CRM honestly is Facebook and my phone. I don't use a CRM that sends auto emails because I don't like getting auto emails. And I don't want to be unsubscribed and I think they're annoying. So I don't do that. That might work for some people, but that's not what I do. I stay in touch with social media and then I do have a list of all the people that I'm working with. That's whether a lead or not. On a text message to myself. I text myself stuff. And then I have this whole list. I make sure I go through, have I connected with this person who's a lead, this person. And then if I feel like they're a cold lead at that point, I remove them. But that way I'm keeping an eye daily or at least a couple times a week through my big list. Am I nurturing all these people? It's pretty simple.
Absolutely great point. Does everybody have one of these? Best tool on the planet. Use it. When it rings, answer it. If it's not ringing, call somebody and make their phone ring, right? My other tool is whiteboards. So I have 4 whiteboards on my wall, big whiteboards, and I track all of my active, pending, which what does pending mean? It has an offer, so I move it from the active to the pending, sold, and then leads. And it visually helps me track my business so that every day when I walk into my office and I see a bunch of white space, my goal is to sell 40 listings a year. So I have 1 through 40, right? On my sold board, on my active board, I have to have my magic number. It is 15 listings depending on the market. Right now it's 7 listings. I should have 7 listings at all times. On the market, when I walk in, I move my listing down to the pending board and I have a white spot. I know what I have to do for the day. I have to fill that white spot. When there's too much white, I panic, right? But it's there for me to see every single day. I can't hide it.
It gives you a driver.
Absolutely.
Or
I do. I use Follow Up Boss. I love it just for the automated emails. I agree. A lot of people don't want things, but I use it not as intently as probably I should. But my clients love the automated happy birthdays, that kind of thing. I do.
but that's a personalized experience.
Yeah,
though.
it
It's
is.
not
They
just
love
random. It's like, all right, I get a birthday notifying
Right.
everyone when everyone's.
Yeah, no, it's
that's a
personal
personalized
to
experience.
them, and they do enjoy it. I use whiteboards too, because it's right in front of my face. I need everything right in front of my face. I use a lot and I rely upon constant contact, which I love, because I have my database in there as well, and I have newsletters. I'll put, some of my big listings, some updated news. I think it's phenomenal. I like it better than MailChimp. That's just a personal thing. And then for me, I use Facebook mostly for branding. That's my thing. I use Facebook, Instagram, and now my marketing people say, "That's just not using TikTok." So I'm like, all right. So now I'm on TikTok, and so I use that for branding. Branding is important because whoever you hire is going to look at you. They're going to look at your Facebook. They're going to look at your website. My website, I've made sure is updated and where it needs to be. They're going to look at everything about you. When I hire people, I look at that person. And I think that those are the tools that are most valuable to me.
And one thing on the CRM, I'll tell you from like our side of things, if we look at all the data and all the information, the 2 most popular open rates are, and it's still the same thing that everyone in this room knows. People like to know what their home is worth.
Yeah.
Our number 1 open rate is our market reports, where
Yeah.
people want to know what their home is worth and any update, any information, then be able to dispute, say, no, my home's worth way more than that. Or listing
We had
alerts
those
where,
too.
Zillow hasn't shared this data, like 70% of the Zillow traffic is voyeurs that like looking at houses. You buy a house brand new, it's like, all right, I just bought a home, I'm not buying for maybe ever. And they'll still be online. It's like, oh, what's going on there? So our listing alerts and our market reports were hands down highest open rates. And the only thing I'd say on the CRM is look at something where you can look at your user base and see what they're interacting with. See what the open rate is, because that'll tell you what your real database is.
Earlier you asked us all a question about, do you know the people that referred your business?
Mhm.
So I just had a question to everybody. So the people that refer your business in your database, what would you say is like the one thing that keeps them referring business, like family, friends, past clients, or something, not necessarily other agents, but the people that are in your sphere, in your database that keeps them? referring you business? Do you do
Great
anything like
question.
that?
Since I do a lot of referral business with other agents, I do a lot of stuff on social media, so I make sure to endorse a lot of the agents that endorse me at a very high level. I actually probably focus more attention to other agents than I do myself for marketing purposes. When I'm working a deal that is agent referral, I make sure that I give updates to that referral agent and say, hey, we just got loan approval. Hey, we're pending, just to kind of keep them in a loop at a decent level so that they understand that the person that they trusted you with is being well taken care of. And then if I have clients that refer me business, I'll send some presents like thank you so much. You know, here's a gift card to my favorite restaurant. Because they sent you a nice deal that you didn't even have to pay a referral for. I love those. You know,
Yeah.
Or
so.
cost of sale, yeah. Or like when you go on an appointment with a client, because every time you're there, I never talk, first 45 minutes. First 45 minutes, I don't even talk about this, zero. Especially if I know, that they're super, like, I want to know what they're about. Young people, do they have babies? Are they struggling with something? When you listen to people about that, the real estate stuff, it's almost like they welcome you to the family. And I don't hit where I'm a disconnect for somebody super transactional. Like, this is what your house is worth. Sign this, do this. I'm gonna sign it. I'm a huge disconnect for that. But a lot of people I know in this room, as people admit, most of us are visual learners in other words. And most of us are highly relational, and just calling somebody, like their mother's in the hospital, they'll be like, my own cousin's have a problem. I always miss my eyeballs closed. I can't imagine. It's a little time, but it has to be genuine. I can't stand when it's like the big, like, I'm raising $5,000. I'm hanging my head up because I raised $5,000. I'm telling how kind I am with it. If it's not authentic, don't do it. I'm sorry. Authenticity is lost. That's another day of my mental stuff. If you're not
If you do
authentic,
this long enough, like Bryan and all of us here, we have referral partners that we trust at a high level and we become really close friends. Like my mom just had a stroke in St. Louis. And so our St. Louis referral partner Lance went and saw my mom and took her flowers at the hospital. So when you get really close with people, you build these amazing relationships and it doesn't really feel like work so much. It's authentic, like Bryan said. So.
So how often do you stay in touch with your clients post-closing? Because a lot of times you do create real relationships with them, but once you sell the house, it's like, I don't have as much time to give you anymore because I kind of have to go to the next client. How often do you guys keep in touch with them?
Well, that's why I like to be friends with my past clients because I can see, it tells me when their birthday is, it tells me their big milestones, and I can comment on their posts or send them direct messages as well. To kind of feel like what's going on. I don't really have like a methodical approach. I just kind of reach out like, hey, I got not much going on today, so I'm going to go through and text my favorite clients, just say, hey, I'm just checking in, just because I feel like it. I don't really have like a method per se.
or when you.
I like to do it at least quarterly. I mean, I know that if I hadn't called someone for 3 months, that's a huge mistake. So I want to stay top of mind. How you doing? Hey, what's going on? I'm more friends as well with my clients. Some of them become like my best friends. But even if they're not, you have to stay top of mind. So at a minimum quarterly, always I drop off gifts. Like Halloween, maybe for the kids around the corner, I'll drop a little gift at the doorstep or things like that, just to stay top of mind.
I tend to be kind of funny with my clients too.
Yeah.
So like I use holidays as an advantage to say, hey, I can send this really hilarious Valentine's Day gift to make my client smile and crack up. I've got one client who calls me the funny, smart Irish realtor. I'm always just kind of.
Can we hear an example? Can we hear an example?
Hear an example?
Yeah, you said a Valentine's Day.
Oh, why don't you text me?
Okay.
I just find fun, if you go to the gifts section of your iPhone, you
Yeah.
can just put in Valentine's Day.
Oh,
And even sometimes put in
Oh,
Valentine's Day
okay.
funny, and there's all sorts of funny Valentine's Day
Oh,
gifts.
okay. I was about to say, there's a gift.
GIF.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I for the best gift for every occasion, because there's so many funny ones out there.
I thought you said Singing grams or something.
In a sentence or two.
Sorry.
In a sentence or two. summarize, what's the biggest takeaway? What's the best piece of advice you can offer?
Don't give up.
Thank you, like
Don't
somebody else.
give up. And one of the tricks of the buyers, I have to say, I never believed it. Most buyers agents, I get the orphan buyer thing. You do not have to be interested. The agency agreement's over. Record the anniversary date of that house when it closes. Do not be invasive. Send them that card and say like, happy 1 year anniversary, blah. Because they're an agent, 98% of the time guaranteed, disappeared after the transaction or hasn't kept in touch. If you implement that one piece, I guarantee you'll get one. I promise.
And never give up.
Never give up, never.
I would say be extremely intentional, purposeful, strategize, and learn from the best in business, and never give up.
I love it. Take action every day to fill your pipeline. Keep that pipeline full. Yep.
If you make your client like you and love you enough, you don't have to try and do reach outs. They're connecting with you. They're excited about you because you've made the experience so fun and lighthearted and they know that they can trust you. So most of my clients reach out to me enough. I don't have to do it. I just love to do some types of touches for holidays and things like that.
Please give them a hand. And please visit the vendors in the hall, and there's a happy hour that's happening now. Please thank our sponsors for hosting this amazing event experience, and obviously Simon for having us.
Thank you. Because what we did on stage earlier was really exciting. I get bored sometimes, and this guy, I was like, I gotta keep watching.
Yeah.
Really